We're back in Barcelona with the PokerStars European Poker Tour, and it's day 5 of the main event. It's the day that we play down to the final table and beyond, hoping to end play with 6 remaining. Right now we have 11 players, 5 at the feature table, 6 at the outer table. The last level saw a fair few eliminations, and I would suspect that we'll lose 2 to 3 players over the course of the next 90 minutes as the blinds go to 80,000, 160,000 with a big blind ante of 160K. This is the lineup on the main stage. Marton Czuczor may well be the chip leader right now with 10.5 million. The shortest stack here is Alexander Ivarsson with 27 bigs. There are shorter stacks on the outer table. I'm James Hartigan, joined by Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies.
And the real story of the last level,
yes,
Joe,
I'm listening,
was the redemption and ascent of Simon Brandstrom, who finished the previous session with just 9 big blinds.
Simon Sandstorm, do-do-do-do-do.
And after some Brandstrom brainstorming, he is up over the 7 million mark now.
Yes. Oh boy, we got action. All in call at other table. This could be gory. We have a river card being dealt. This is pocket aces against Jack 10. And Czuczor drawing dead, I believe, before the river. And that is it for our good friend Balakrishna Czuczor. Whee! No more. Out of here in 11th place at the hands of Simon Sandstrom. Do-do-do-do. Ivarsson on the button with ace jack. Seems like the standard raise is to 320. Standard 3-bet is to $1 million. Sturrock folds king 6 of hearts in the small. 7-5 of hearts in the big for Lou. Fake it till you make it. Lou playing as if he's got a 60 big blind stack. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with defending here. And boy, does he flop good here. That's what we call flopping the joint. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, flopping the joint.
It's actually a board where Ivarsson, in general, might be inclined to want to do a lot of checking. But if he feels his opponent is playing somewhat tight and he can put a bit of pressure on the final table, it's a little bit of extra leverage that he can try and take advantage of.
Tough to leverage a guy who's flopped a straight. He has to make sure it's true.
He's going to slow play it. He's just going to make the call. I think at 20 big blinds, you don't always have to raise here. Gives your opponent a chance to catch up on the turn.
Ivarsson does not catch up on the turn. The board doesn't get significantly worse for him, though. It wasn't great to begin with. And when Lou checks his cards and then calls, like the worst he's going to have is a flush draw, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure when people check at their cards what exactly it means, but it's interesting to see Ivarsson going for the double barrel here, maybe trying to target 4x and 6x to fold, possibly expecting that if Lou had an 8 or better, he might have just went with it on the flop. If he had a hand like 9-7, maybe he would have elected to check raise.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a lot of pair straight draw combos in this dynamic.
Very interesting if Lou just elects to call here, because then the hands you mentioned, the pair plus straight draw, he can have a lot of them once he calls this turn, because he's unlikely to call this turn with just a 4, just a 6. He's likely to have played for stacks on the flop with some of his 8s. So Ivarsson might end up going for it, particularly if we see a spade on the river or something that changes the board drastically. But if I'm Lou, after seeing my opponent bet into me twice, less than 20 big blinds, I'm most likely just going to go all in on this turn.
Yeah.
It's not that your hand necessarily needs a huge amount of protection whilst it can help. It's just that if your opponent does have pocket tens, ace nine, any of the overpairs, maybe you don't want to see a terrible river card. But Lou is going to continue laying this trap. And as we can see against Ivarsson's exact hand, this is the perfect play.
Right. Yeah, I'd probably get a little goofy there and raise and fold out all of the bluffs, thinking that my opponent's probably stronger than he is. Lou checks for the third time. 3.3 million in the middle.
I feel like if this was the queen of spades, the king of spades, an overcard to the board, plus completing the flush, Ivarsson might have been very tempted to go for it, but on the six of spades, it's a little bit less appealing.
That six obviously would be one of those pair straight draw combos. That would make up a decent chunk of Lou's range. Also, if Lou has an 8, he might get hero-y with that as well.
I guess Ivarsson, the last thing he wants is to check and be up against a hand like 4-7, maybe even a hand like 8-7 that he could probably make fold.
Yeah.
But it's just a very tough river card to pull the trigger on.
This could really go either way. All in.
Wow.
Ivarsson announces all in. Now Lou just has to make the call. There is a paired board. There is a potential flush.
Oh, Ivarsson's going to feel a little bit like this is a slow roll, but it's certainly not. He has to call.
He calls. And Ivarsson is going to lose a massive pot. Just walked right into that one. This style has been working out incredibly well for Ivarsson. And in any other situation, any worse hand than a straight is going to have to maybe lay that down.
I think it's easy to say he's after blasting off, but at the same time, he's putting his opponent in such an incredibly tough spot with the vast majority of his hands. Not many people going to call the turn with 2-pair plus. Not many people going to call the turn with a straight. Decides to pull the trigger, and then he gets the bad news that his opponent had slow played the straight.
Absolutely. That sort of aggression is going to win you so many more chips than it's going to lose. You just happen to get unlucky there. Outer table hand. Cards are on their backs. Ace-7 versus King-9. Looks like Ace-7 is the all-in player. It's Falcone and Kully Sidhu. Yes, Falcone the player all in. Here comes the flop. 8, 5, 6, so open-ended and ace-high for Falcone. Sidhu has a gut shot. His king is live. Deuce is no help to either player. Ace-high still winning. Kully needs a 9, a 7, or a king to bust Falcone. It's an 8. Falcone doubles up. So 2 doubles up. 1 double up here, 1 double up at the main feature table. That puts Falcone up to 1.8 million, which is not a lot of chips. Doesn't look like Sidhu has that many more either. And look at this. Yunye Liu still stacking his chips from that last hand. We didn't really get to have any afterglow from his double up. He's up to nearly 8 million in chips now. Ivarsson down to 8 big blinds. Two pair on this flop for Lou. Flush draw for Torre, not a great one.
Interesting to see if Torre wants to bet here. Probably still gonna have the best hand sometimes.
180.
We have seen Lou slow play in the very last hand, but with a much stronger hand. The flop straight this time with a very vulnerable two pair, but at the same time, quite deep now. Probably doesn't want to raise and get it in, but might want to raise now for value.
He does in fact raise. I haven't seen Lou play very much, but his instincts have been pretty good thus far. Bottom two is a fairly susceptible hand on a Broadway board, 3 diamond board.
I'm probably just gonna fold my ace-8 here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a little bit of a better diamond plus the good shot, then sure, let's continue. But sometimes you're going to be drawing dead here, even if he just has like a 9 high flush or whatever. Lou on a little bit of a heater, looking to continue it, raising the button with the king jack.
Czuczor ain't scared. He's in, perfectly understandable, suited king. And this flop is ace, queen, 9, 2 hearts. Hiya! Flush draw for Czuczor. Lou's going to continue. I think this continuation bet in general would get a lot of folds.
We can see this time it's not going to work though.
Nuh-uh.
Ten of hearts would be a naughty turn card, but both players turn in second pair.
Ugh.
I think it's a turn that Lou is going to want to slow down on quite a lot.
He does indeed. River is not a heart, a brick. Lou's kicker will play if we do get to showdown.
Czuczor is going to bet. I would imagine it be incredibly small, but as we can see, most likely going to be a check.
He bet 0, in fact. And it's Lou who bets incredibly small. 1/3 pot.
It's a little bit frustrating. It's unlikely to be a bluff for the bet check bet here. They're often going to be these exact kind of hands, maybe a weak ace. The king is turned. If he was bluffing, it's a very good turn card from the continue on. I think it's a tough fold to make, but the more he thinks about it, the more he might realize that his opponent is very unlikely to be bluffing for this size on the river.
But what's the worst hand he's not bluffing with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to have a queen. So best case scenario, with your king, it's going to be a chop. And does your opponent always bet king 8 and worse? I'm not so sure. Like I said, I could completely understand if he makes a call here, but I just don't think people go bet check bet for 1/3. Nice fold.
Good fold.
Nice.
Yunye Liu, the year of the Yunye. This guy was the shortest stack at the table 10 minutes ago. Not Czuczor, he was number 1. He is now number 2. It is Yunye Liu, who was the shorty at this table, had 23 big blinds 10 minutes ago. Now he's up on top with 58 big blinds. Johan Sturrockers mixing things up a little bit, elects to raise bigger than we've been seeing our opening raises, and this was ill-timed. Opens to 490,000 into the ace queen.
6.5. $490, right? I go.
Pretty tricky spot for Ivarsson. The issue being that with the ace-8 off versus an under-the-gun raise and a button flat, quite frequently he will find himself dominated. Sturrockers also, I think, correctly identifying that he doesn't want to make his raise too small and give the very short big blind too good of a price. As we go heads up to the flop.
Here we go. And this flop is ace, jack, 7, 2 hearts. Top pair for Torre, gut shot for Sturrockers.
Torre going to bet when check 2. Be very surprised to see the queen 10 fold to a single bet. Got a good shot to the nut straight. Got the backdoor hearts. Could potentially bluff some rivers if it goes check check. That could be one of them. It'll be quite interesting if he decides to lead here, but we are going to see a check. I think it's a turn that Torre is going to want to check on a lot. So there is 2 flush draws out there that he might feel like he needs some protection from.
And that's a full house on the river for Torre.
Ivarsson probably not feeling so great about his ace-8 fold right now. This is not going to work. This is quite ambitious. I think if we had seen a brick river, it would have been a very nice bluff spot. But what are we really going to make our opponent fold with here? That he bets the flop, it goes check check on the turn. We're ahead of any pocket pairs if he did decide. We've counterfeited versus 8s, 9s, 10s, even though they're likely to check the flop. I guess the only hand that makes sense that he's targeting to fold is hands like King Queen and King 10, but we block all them as well.
Torre makes the call. Interesting, just call.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in one way because obviously the only hand we're worried about is pocket jacks, but at the same time, if you shove there, your opponent is never going to call with a worse hand, in my opinion. So I can understand it, even though it does look a little tight at first glance.
It doesn't even look tight. It just looks like a mistake. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. There's absolutely nothing. You're rationale makes perfect sense. But just, you don't think, do you think that the odds of them having quads is about equal to the odds of them calling with anything worse?
I think given his size, and it's very unlikely that he has quads. But I think it's almost 0% that your opponent's going to call with worse than an ace if you shove that river with 10 left in an EPT. Ivarsson in the small blind with the pair.
What do you call that?
Monster hand to pick up. Which seems a little weird to say about deuces, but very happy to shove. When he gets called, he's going to have a reasonable amount of equity a lot of the time.
All in?
All in the call. Ace-3 versus the deuces. That is a fake flip if I've ever seen one.
Oh, man. This is not a classic flip. This is a weird flip. You don't see this one too often.
I think we're supposed to stop.
Did you say?
It is
I think we're supposed
Ivarsson
to
at
stop
risk
because we are
on the
ahead.
bubble with 10 left here at EPT Barcelona.
This is like quinoa versus kale.
Like 9-ish.
One of these two hands has a slight mathematical advantage for Ivarsson's tournament life. King, Jack, 5,
wow,
3
wow,
hearts. Hearts not good for Ivarsson.
Too many outs, maybe.
The board didn't pair at least. Ivarsson's got that going for him. Man, oh man, can this whole thing brick out? The river. Is the 4 of hearts flush for Sturrockers. That's it for Ivarsson. He's been a force this entire tournament. One forceful multi-street bluff gone wrong. Left him with dust, and now he is left with nothing. Alexander Ivarsson eliminated in 10th place.
Yeah, redraws.
Now what this means, Fenton, is that we're gonna have the final redraw of the tournament.
Next year's EPT Barcelona should be even bigger, as it hosts the PokerStars Players No Limit Hold'em Championship. Pros and amateurs will be looking to repeat the success of Ramon Kalilas, who took down the first Players Championship for $5.1 million. There's the chance to win free entry to PSPC 2020, with Platinum Passes being awarded live and online. You could win yours at PokerStars.
Got to be a great feeling to know you've locked up at least 121,000 euros. Action. Now on Simon Brandstrom. Holds 8-5, moves out. Fold, fold. Sidhu once again, this time he's got an ace on the button. He is the shortest stack. There they go, into the middle. Will someone wake up with a hand good enough to call? I'd say so. I'd say so. Rocco shoves over the top in an attempt to isolate. Will it work? Oh my goodness. Sweet, sassy Molassie. I do not think isolation is going to happen. We could potentially have a double elimination. Sousa's got the jacks, he's got the chips. What an absolute cooler.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to fold the jacks here. Button versus small blind for these stack sizes. He's going to have to call, and there's going to be 2 players at risk.
Isolation, consternation.
Yeah.
How unfortunate for Bracco to run into such a big hand. Now, we know he would be flipping if it weren't for the fact that at least one other ace has been folded. So jacks are doing pretty well against two hands, a 54% favorite. If they hold, we're going from 9 to 7 immediately. This is a big moment.
É isso, filho. Porra, perdi duas pessoas pra mim.
Två, vi får se.
Torcer mesmo, bora. Vamos conectar aqui.
Everyone else at the table stands to ladder up considerably. This is a $110,000 pay jump for everyone else if there is a double elimination. Or euros. All of it's worth nothing pretty soon anyway, so. All right, Clara. Ace high flop. Jacks, for the moment, cracked. Bracco, the big favorite to survive this and double up with a little to spare from Sidhu. The turn is a diamond. Diamonds are not a factor in this hand, although there's a gut shot draw now as well. Sousa, that's why he's still at 14%. The river is a jam. Not quite a two-outer, but that's what it's gonna feel like. The best hand holds, double elimination. Sidhu out. He's come close on the EPT before, narrowly misses making the official final table. Out ninth.
Yeah. Wow, that feels good. Getting 2 pay jumps.
Bracco out in 8th.
The biggest winner?
159,580 euro for Bracco. And look at the smiles at this table. Everyone else just locked up another 110,000 euro. Sidhu, Sadhu.
Falcone has run into the kings of Giovanni Torre.
We know he's going to be all in and at risk here. Torre just doesn't want to snap call, get it in. Maybe one of his opponents will have a hand behind that he wants to call as well.
So you think this is going to be a call from Torre rather than a reshove?
I think with 7 million, when it's a 3 million all in, it's all much of the same. I just meant that he doesn't want to snap call so his opponents, know just how strong he is.
Surely Torre must have used at least one time bank card by now. Granted, it took a while to verify the exact count of Falcone's stack. But he has announced call. Brandstrom folds the ace-deuce. Lou is out. Sturrock is in the small blind. And he's got tens.
Wow, this is a sick spot for the tens.
What's that?
There has been a shove for 16 big blinds under the gun
Could you put in 3?
and a call. I really feel like you probably have to get away from the tens here when it's such a huge final table with such huge pay jumps, but it's not an easy fold. This is where Torre's tank comes in. If he snap got it in, maybe he gives away the strength of his hand, but now the tens have a question.
Are we going to see another three-way all-in at this final table?
Could see another double elimination if we do. King's the best hand, covering both players.
Sturrock lets it go.
I would have called. You can show my hand too.
Ace 6, that's one of the aces gone.
Tens.
And of course the
You
ace
also see
deuce,
Ace of diamonds folded.
folded by Brandstrom. But I'm telling you, Finton, this kid is indestructible. He may only have one out, but don't be shocked if it hits.
Jag la 2 10. Jag la 2 10 i den här handen.
As things stand, there is an 85% chance that we lose Diego Falcone and finish play for day 5.
Fan vad skönt att komma undan med 10 där.
What did I tell you? He's indestructible. Torre now has to spike a one-outer. Unless the king of spades hits the river, Diego Falcone doubles up again.
This will also be a good TV.
His story of survival has been one of the main narrative points of the day. He's now got 35 big blinds. Giovanni Torre becomes the table low man with 18 bigs.
Yeah. Such a swag. Yes.
I don't think Torre wants to hear about the fact that there was 2 aces folded right now.
Falcone on 7 million. Johan Sturrock is 5.5 million. Giovanni Torre, 3.75 million. Bless you. Bless you.
Is your rule to only bless someone twice, and after that, they're on their own?
2 sneezes, 2 bless yous.
Your ace gone also.
Next hand. Folded by Sousa. Ace king for Torre, okay. The poker gods taketh away. The poker gods giveth, question mark? Opens to 425,000. King 10 for Brandstrom. Oh, jacks for Lou.
We could be about to see back-to-back all-ins for Torre.
Well, he just got done by Ace King. Now he needs to win with Ace King.
Although, we're getting some raisin chips.
For sure. 3-bet from Lou with the jacks. $425,000 was the original raise. 1.2 million is the 3-bet. Torre will probably respond all in, and Lou will call.
Yeah, just see one of Torre's aces folded.
There is the all-in. Lou just wants a quick check of the stack. Yep, he calls, putting Torre at risk, and we are off to the races. Ace King against Jacks. Classic race underway at this final table. And Torre needs to hit to improve. If he doesn't, we will be down to 6. The flop is ace high. Torre now a 9-1 favorite to double up. Wow, things changing so fast. Only a jack on the river will eliminate Giovanni Torre in 7th place. It's a 10, and Torre will double up through Lou. So now Giovanni's back up to 40 big blinds, a stack of 8 million. Yunye Lou is now the player at risk of elimination. He's the player with an 18 big blind stack.
Den var ju lite synd.
You like drama, you're in the right place.
I would have felt really bad for Torre there if it had been back-to-back hands. But he does get the double up. He's right back in the mix.
He's in the middle of the pack. Queen Jack suited, under the gun +1. And that's a raise to 450,000.
450, yeah.
Falcone folds. Sousa with 10-7. Also passes. 7-7 for Torre. Out. 9-6 for Brandstrom in the small. Lou, there's the same hand, Queen Jack, but unsuited. Calls. And the flop is Jack, Jack 5.
Thank you.
Gonna warm up my vocal cords.
We're gonna nail this one, Finton. Now remember, it's 3, 2, 1, then you go. I will pause longer. When you hear it, we won't be in sync, but what the audience hears might be in sync, so don't stop, stick with it.
I'm sweating so much.
Also, just to put additional pressure on you, Spraggy nailed it earlier on.
No, I
Nailed
failed
it.
all week long.
Oh, look at this. It might not be a chop. How great for Marton to be free rolling here. $500,000, the bet from Lou. Just a call. And the river card is a spade.
We jinxed him, James.
Don't lie, Finton, you are so happy that this is not a chop.
We jinxed him.
And Lou's gonna bet big. 2.8 million in the middle. And he goes for $1 million. Nearly half his stack. Now the question is, does Marton raise and try and get the rest? Or is he worried about 5s, 10s, or 9s?
I would feel if Lou had a better hand than a queen high flush here, he most likely would have used an all-in sizing. The issue for Marton is going to be, with the jack in his hand, what is opponent going to call with if he shoves? But I think versus size, you just got to go all in. Give Lou the opportunity to make the hero call.
Yeah, raises enough to put Lou all in. And what a horrible spot for Lou. Sat there with trip jacks on a straighty, flushy, paired board. And knowing that if he calls and is wrong, he is out.
Will he make the big fold and be correct? It's so hard to imagine what your opponent is bluffing with here. So little left to play for. It's just so unlikely that someone pulls a trigger, but you've got this far. The pot is this big and you've got trips. It's not a fun spot at all.
And yes, he's committed a lot of chips already. But the chips you still have, the chips you have left have more value. He'd still have 6 big blinds. A horrible spot to be in, and I don't know how many time bank cards he still has. I don't know how much thinking time he can use here.
Just a horrendous river card. King, queen gets there. 7-8 gets there. All the flushes get there. What can your opponent call with on the turn and then bluff raise you all in with on the river?
He folds it. He gets away from the trips and he still has 1.2 million. Yunye Lu still playing 6 big blinds. Marton Czuczor playing 57 bigs. He's up to 11.5 million. And Lu will be wondering, did I just fold the best hand? King 6 for Brandstrom. Been playing relatively snug. Still the chip leader. Lu is going to fold this one. And it's Johan Sturrock who will raise. Now, we've commented before that his sizing is significantly larger than every other player at the table, this hand being no exception, opening to 655,000.
Makes it a little bit of an awkward spot for the 8s. Cutoff versus button. Martin's got to decide whether he wants to play for all the chips or if he wants to try and see a flop. Obviously never folding.
Just calls in position on the button. And with both blinds folding, we're going heads up to the flop.
Wow, what a flop!
King high. Top pair for Sturrock plus the flush draw. A set of 8 for Czuczor.
The question is, when do all these chips go into the middle? Will it be on the flop or will we get to a turn?
This orbit's playing like a highlights reel.
I don't think either player can really make a mistake, whatever they do, as long as nobody folds. We can see check raises, we can see check calls, we can see small bets, we can see big bets.
Well, Sturrock has checked. It's a bloated pot because of his pre-flop open. It's 1.8 million. And Czuczor's going to go for half pot, 900K. Sturrock calls. Conscious of the fact that there's a guy at the table with 13 big blinds. Sturrock has left himself 17 bigs behind. Queen on the river, on the turn rather, and that is a full house. Sturrock has less than pot behind. Do you think Marton just pulls the trigger here, Finton?
I mean, he certainly could go all in, but I don't mind seeing a check, giving his opponent the opportunity to catch maybe a straight or a flush.
Well, Sturrock does not improve. Kings and queens, but losing to the full house of Marton Czuczor.
Pretty sure at this point Marton probably just wants to use an all-in sizing. Yes, his opponent has just check called once and then checked twice, but on this river, if you're going to be bluffing, you're going to be all in.
Well, Sturrock has checked for a third time. He's going to face a bet. The question is how much.
Maybe Marton doesn't want to put him all in due to the fact, like you mentioned before, Lou does have the short stack and he doesn't want him to be worried about busting right now. This is a vile spot for the King 5.
No kidding.
The Jack of Diamonds, not an insignificant river. It could be a hand like 9-10 that stabbed the flop now straight, Ace-10.
Loving the sizing, 2.5 million. Enough to get most of Sturrock's chips, but not put him at risk.
That looks like a man who's about to use a lot of time banks.
Yep, just put him out in front, take him as you need him. Let me know when I've got 30 seconds left.
The Jack of Diamonds on the river just makes it so tough for Marton to be bluffing here. But at the same time, you've somewhat under-reffed your hand. Check calling the flop, checking the turn, checking the river.
He's got blockers to miss flush draws. He lets it go. Folds and leaves himself with a 17 big blind stack. And we play on. Seven-handed. Czuczor playing 74 big blinds. Meanwhile, at the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Sturrock on 17 bigs, and you've got Yunye Lu, the short stack, on 13 bigs. Action folded to the button. Chip leader Simon Brandstrom has 9-8 of diamonds.
Definitely going to be getting involved here.
Raises to 400,000. Lou announces all in. Ace deuce. And Sturrock wants a count. He's got pocket threes.
Wow.
He reshoves. And Brandstrom folds, so here we go. Lou is at risk and behind.
That was a very quick call with the pocket trays. Finds himself in great shape though, up against the ace deuce. Just a single overcard.
So now a 62% chance that we lose Yunye Lu and finish play right here. Lose rail calling for an ace. No ace, but there is a deuce. That gives him 5 outs.
It's fun three, and then you get 3 more outs.
Turn card is a jack. Lou needs an ace or a deuce on the river. Barry Greenstein!
The short stacks will not die.
And Yunye Liu doubles up to 4.5 million. He's now a 22 big blind stack, tied with Giovanni Torre. Sturrock is now the player in the danger zone with 6 bigs.
What an absolutely heartbreaking river.
Flaming Barry's left, right, and center. Lou now 5th in chips, just ahead of Torre. Sturrock brings up the rear. Okay, next hand. So hard to predict what's happening next, right?
425.
Surprised in yourself?
Well, Sturrock is surely going to go with this, Vincent.
Brandstrom is going to be priced in to call for the 6 big blinds. He's going to be all in back-to-back hands.
Brandstrom calls. Well, we have seen the short stack survive over the course of the last 90 minutes.
Ásd damek, és
Sturrock gets it in with 71% equity.
Podemos ir descansar. Mas era fixe, foda-se, já ficar. Mas era fixe já, porque senão
If Brandstrom sucks out on his fellow countrymen, we will be done for the day.
Even though
I just want to have fun. Yeah. Everyone to have fun.
Yeah.
The flop is ace high.
An absolute dagger in the heart.
make it fun.
Sturrock needs a queen. Or a diamond.
That's a funny one.
11 outs for Sturrock. You feeling it, Finton?
Jack of diamonds.
The short stack will not die.
This time they will. Johan Sturrock eliminated in 7th place. And what is the last hand of the level? We are down to 6 players. We said we'd finish at the end of level 32, or if we got down to 6. We actually get both. And Yunye Liu clung on, doubled up, and he'll be back tomorrow, along with Mr. Invincible, Diego Falcone, Giovanni Torre, Rui Sousa, Marton Czuczor, and Simon Brandstrom, who will come into play tomorrow as the dominant chip leader with nearly 18.5 million chips. Sturrock cashes out for 226,490 euros. Well, this has been a long week. This has been a long day. How long will the final table last? How many levels will we play? How long is it going to take us to get from 6 to a winner? Only one way to find out for sure, and that's join us for our final table coverage
I look forward to it. Today was, like you said, completely insane. Action left, right, and center.
Well, the blinds are going to be up when we come back, but Simon Brandstrom won't be worried about that. He and Marton Czuczor are the big stacks coming into play. Lou and Torre, the short stacks. But anything can happen. As we've seen today, we could get some major swings from Joe Stapleton, Finton Hand, Benjamin Spragg, and me, James Hartigan. It's good night from Barcelona.